All right. Our next guest is a professional storyteller, puppeteer, and educator who has delighted audiences, not just one, throughout the US and internationally for over 30 years. She grew up in the Catskill Mountains of upstate New York, which is part of the Appalachian Mountain Range. And she blends together her love of story, puppets, and small town life to create a unique experience on stage. Join me in welcoming Lona Bartlett.
Hey, Krista, and everybody who's out there. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm so glad you could join us. So I know we were just talking about your New York background. I've met you through Cindy Raxer, who was on our last show out of Bynum. So what is your North Carolina connection?
Well, my mother was born in Lancaster, South Carolina. So she's a Carolinian. And even though I grew up in upstate New York on the farm, my mom, I call myself a Northern grit. Because, we grew up eating grits and, there's a lot of things that my mom brought from the traditions of the South, and it's been combined with the traditions of upstate New York.
Gotcha. So it's just in your blood. It's in your blood.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, and I know before we got started talking, we were talking a little bit about being on Zoom a lot. How has COVID-19 impacted your storytelling?
How has it impacted my storytelling? Oh my gosh. I learned so much. I just put together my first hour-long program where I filmed it, I edited it, I posted it up on a platform. It cost me a couple of sleepless nights, but I did it.
That's awesome. So do you have any events that are going to be public that are coming up soon, or is that just something folks can just check out your website? Or
well, I do have some things on my website. If you go to the video page, and that's listed there. So I do have some stories that are up there right now, but there are libraries that are posting some of my things as well, some of my stories, because I've worked with a couple of libraries because they wanted to continue summer reading.
Sure.
So I filmed with them, and so they're posting that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know last month we had Donna Washington on, and so she was talking about kind of that pivot too, and still doing some stuff with the younger audiences, which has been, I guess, keeping her busy as well, which I know everybody's thankful for, still to be able to do some stuff online.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of keep your hand in things.
Right. So what did you have for us today to share?
Well, I thought that I would bring a couple of poems today and do some recitation. It's one of my favorite things to do. My dad absolutely adored poetry.
Yeah.
And so I thought I would do that for you.
Sounds great.
Well, like I said, my dad, he just loved poetry, and he would recite poems to us very often as children. Well, in fact, he loved poetry so much that he would respond to my mother, sometimes in rhyme, perhaps with a lyric from a song or a line from a poem. And for instance, my mom would say, "Millard, why don't you go shave? You need to shave. You're kind of looking scruffy." My dad would fold his arms up and he'd say, "Well, my face, I don't mind it, 'cause I'm behind it. It's the people in front get the jar." Mom and Dad, they were an interesting couple. But Daddy taught us some poems that they just have stuck with me. And the first one I'd like to do for you is called The Duel. It's written by Eugene Field, and he is known as the children's poet. You might know it as the Gingham Dog and the Calico Cat. The gingham dog and the calico cat side by side on the table sat. 'Twas 12:30, and what do you think? Not one nor the other had slept a wink. The old Dutch clock and the Chinese plate appeared to know as sure as fate there was going to be a terrible spat. But I wasn't there. I simply state what was told to me by the Chinese plate. The gingham dog went bow, wow, wow, and the calico cat replied, meow. The air was littered an hour or so with bits of gingham and calico, while the old Dutch clock on the chimney place, up with its hands before its face, for it always dreaded a family row. But mind, I'm only telling you what the old Dutch clock declares is true. The Chinese plate looked very blue and wailed, oh dear, what shall we do? But the gingham dog and the calico cat waddled this way and tumbled that, employing every tooth and claw in the awfulest way you ever saw. And oh, how the gingham and the calico flew. But don't fancy I exaggerate. I got my news from the Chinese plate. But next morning, where the two had sat, there was no sign of dog nor cat. And some folks say, until this day, that burglars stole those two away. But the truth about the cat and pup is this: they ate each other up. So what do you think of that? The old Dutch clock, he told me so. And that is how I came to know.
Thank you so much.
Do you mind if I do one more for you?
Of course, I just wanted to say, and I'll just spotlight myself for a second, give you a moment break. No, I mean, it's funny because I had these books, like World Book encyclopedias came out with them with their childcraft books, and I had the book of poetry. I just read that over and over again. And the one with the gingham dog and calico cat, it had the picture in there. I don't know. It was one that was always kind of a favorite of mine when I was a kid. So
yeah,
thank you.
It's a great poem.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks. This one I think is very applicable to the times. My father was born in 1909, so my parents were older, having children long before it was in vogue, you know, to have them late in life, long before it was ever in vogue. And so we got through a lot of tough times with poems. And I think this one is very, very applicable to this time. It's called Keep A-Goin', and it's written by Frank L. Stanton. He was born in the mid 1800s, but it works for today. It goes like this: if you strike a thorn or rose, keep it going. If it hails, if it snows, keep it going. Tain't no use to sit and whine when that fish ain't on your line. Bait your hook. Keep it trying, keep it going. When the weather kills your crop, help me out, keep it going. Though 'tis work to reach the top, keep it going. Suppose you're out of every dime, getting broke ain't any crime. Tell the world you're feeling prime, keep it going. When it looks like all is up, keep it going. Drain the sweetness from the cup, keep it going. See the wild bird on the wing, hear the bells that sweetly ring. When you feel like surgeon, sing, keep it going. So I'd like to encourage everyone. It's a tough time right now, but keep it going. Thanks, Krista.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing those with us today. I thank you again.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.